Yes, it's time again for Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics. And continuing on with the House of Brainiacs, event, I guess, within the Superman books. Bleeds over into a few others, but anyway. So here we are at Action Comics Did 65 featuring Supergirl and, one of the Superboys. There are so many. The moment of raw power you need to kickstart this creation of yours will be immeasurable. Let alone the power you'd need to actually keep it running, Brainiac. I assume this is why you have collected your own doppelgangers, so that you could... I have everything under control. It's going to take more than stealing superpowers from the people you kidnapped from Metropolis. Do you have any other pointless questions, Luthor? Why Zarnians? Why you are just as obsessed with the control as I am. To employ such mindless creatures of chaos is beneath you. Their role will become clear in due time, but for now their impulses are occupied. And that brings us back to Lobo and Superman as they deal with the last son of Krypton. I love a good space fight, Superman, but we need to get to solid ground. Lobo, this is hardly my first space battle. You have to remember. And there we go. There's the whole thing. The art's really good. I can fly, and you can't. Bzzz. He burns up their space motorcycles. He's taking out our hogs, swarming. Sorry to steal your rides, General Chakal, but you started this fight, and I'm ending it. Lobo, can you borrow a space hog? Well, he's not going to borrow it, but you get the idea. There's scenes like this and whatnot, and there's a little more action. This is much better than the House of Brainiac special. But overall, the House of Brainiac is not much of a story, and it's just a lead up to absolute power. So there's not much there. And that's unfortunate. Actually, the Bizarro story, it wasn't all that great, but at least it was more cohesive and solid within itself. This, not a whole lot. And so one event leads to the next event. Well, of course, yeah, shouldn't a life be eventful? But you get the idea. So this continues over in Superman, where Superman and Lobo fight again. So they end up on Hardcore Station in deep space. Boom! I bet they heard that one on Earth 3. Bzz, bzz. Ouch, that's gonna leave a mark. Should we step in, General Chacon? Not a chance. Fight, fight, fight. Let them fight. Come on, Lobo. Get them with an uppercut. Yep. Again, the art's not bad. It's pretty good. Lobo, stop. No way, Super Joke. This fight has been a long time coming. Bzz, bzz, bzz. You cheat. We can't keep doing this. If we keep this up, Hardcore Station will be destroyed. Let's take this fight outside. There you go. Lobo, listen to me. This isn't a game. Chakal is using you. Do you really want to work for Brainiac? The main man works for no one. Then what are you doing? Why are you siding with the Zarnians? What? Are you the only guy who gets to be head of his own gang? After these years of riding solo, maybe it's time I try something different, okay? And there you have it. That's the deal the Zarnians made with Lobo and all that. But you'll have to read Action Comics to get the lowdown on the Lobo and the rest of it here. But ultimately, again, all of this is just a setup for absolute power. So, did you need to read this? To know where the bride of Brainiac comes out, or the queen of Brainiac, whatever she is. Then, yeah, I guess. But other than that, unfortunately, this was rather disappointing and a waste of time. Meanwhile, Batman and Robin remains the only good Batman title DC produces today. So here we are back with Simone DeMayo's art, which really is just pretty spectacular. All your rogues talk, you know. What? Whispers and gossip. They are desperately obsessed with you. Even when I was Man-Bat, I could see it. They never knew how much I listened to them. And I heard about how you had a Batcave. I must admit, I was green with envy. So I created my own. There he is, swooping around in his own Batcave. Yeah, that's nice. What are you doing, Langstrom? That man you supplied with your drugs died. I'm loath to quote the Joker, but you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. They worship you. Can I help it if that the city loves me more than you now? For years I experimented on myself, but then I realized I have a whole city of people I can use. You were a hero before. You saved lives. You worked with Wonder Woman and Zatanna. And we'll leave it there. So it's great to see Simone DeMayo back on art. It really pumps up the book, except when he doesn't do it, which he only does a couple of pages here, and then it's the other artist who just really is getting a little better, I think, but you can't follow Simone like that. And then the final pages at the end, you go to Robin's story and it's the other artist, and then you come back to Man-Bat and Batman here, and it's back to DeMayo. But it just doesn't work when you have two different art, and they unless they're on par with their skill and presentation and style and whatnot, then it can kind of work. But so my guess is DeMayo is just too slow of an artist to achieve his look, and can't maintain a schedule on a monthly comic book, which is unfortunate because it's really good, but that's the way it goes. So that's too bad. But that's really the only flaw. The story overall is fine. It's nothing spectacular, really, but it's fine. And it's, again, the only good Batman comic available now. That being said, there's also The Batman First Night, but it's out of continuity and all that, and just a story that takes place in the original era of Batman. And, well, it's had some high points and some cool stuff, but, well, anyway. The cop has got him, boss. Gunned him down in the parking lot. Johnny the Whip, that is. The commission self did it. Put a couple of slugs in Johnny and carted him off to the hospital. Identify yourself. I'm Sully. Johnny said, anything happens to me, get your ass on the box. Toot sweet. And let the voice know. He did he? Yeah. So what now? What are your orders? 1, take the radio and find a new place to hide. 2, corral the boys. We make our move tonight before Johnny talks and blows the whole deal. I remember the morning when you said you'd never hunt again, Father. You'd been in surgery all night. All because of a shootout between police and gangsters. that ended with innocent bystanders getting hit. You were appalled by the wounds and the horrific damage the bullets had done. You said you didn't want to be responsible for inflicting that on any living thing, animal, or person, ever. But Bruce? Dun dun dun, she just keeps barging in, you know. You're wearing, my God, does this mean? That I need better locks? Apparently so. I like you, Julie, but you should know, I am not a fan of unannounced drop-ins. That's all you have to say? You're dressed like that? And that's all you have to say? The giant Beat headlines, your bruises, wounds, and burns. How did I not see that it was you? You weren't supposed to know. No one was. And that gun! I don't like guns. They scare me. In fact, right now, you scare me. Oh, sorry. Bruce, I have to ask, are you okay? You're so isolated here in this house. You don't clean or take care of it. Hardly even bother to turn on the lights. It's sort of like a tomb. I'd rather spend my time cleaning up Gotham. As some kind of Batman? Crime and corruption are out of control. So many cops are on the take that if I don't do something, this city will become a cesspool of so much lawlessness that it'll never recover. All by your lonesome? By killing mobsters and hoodlums? That's your solution? Well, yeah. Well, and this is one of the weak parts of the story. It's another one of these anti-gun message thing. But within the workings of it all, it doesn't work. I mean, Batman wouldn't last very long without guns up against mobsters who use guns. And so in the environment of the fantastic, if there's some other abilities and whatnot, but for the most part, Batman doesn't have any. And so it stretches credulity to the point. Plus, it also besmirches the likes of Commissioner Gordon and the other police officers, the good ones, who, of course, use guns in their line of work. So it just doesn't work narratively speaking, and it's one of those things that can push you out of the story. Later on in this story, Batman does have a weapon. He develops a weapon against the monster men in this story that basically disintegrates them. It's this gas solution he releases. And we learn in the story that they're not really fully dead. They fixed the electric chair where they nearly died, but not quite. And so then the villain here would inject them with this solution that turned them into these monster men. And so when Batman's gas hits them, they die a horrific, agonizing death. And they just melt into a bloody, stew. And so, but at least they weren't shot between the eyes, So you see, it's not that well thought through. And this happens again and again in these narratives of this. It's come about lately because of Zack Snyder's quotes about it and all this sort of thing. But ultimately, sure, you can come up with ways that just through dumb luck, Batman's able to outfox people with guns and everything. But, you just have to kind of look the other way. To say that works, it really doesn't. And granted, here you have these monster men, but other than that, he's basically just fighting mobsters, and it's a more reality-based story, and yet, this sort of thing. So it all overall is a bit disappointing. There's a lot of cool elements to it. It's always cool to see Batman in the original setting of his stories and whatnot, but it was a bit of a letdown, and it's unfortunate because Dan Jurgens is usually pretty good, But this one, you know, didn't quite make it, in my opinion. Meanwhile, over in Green Lantern, Jeremy Adams proves that he's a pretty solid superhero writer. The Green Lantern stories are not spectacular or anything, but in this day and age, just to be basic superhero storytelling makes it rise to the top of the heap. So continuing on with what's going on with United Planets and all that sort of stuff. So, and that is your final answer.
It was our final answer the first time you asked, Lord Premier Theros. The United Planets may have been successful in convincing New Corrigar and a bevy of other planets to take part in your plans, but we must decline.
Very well, but understand we are stronger together than apart.
The power of love is all the strength we'll ever need.
This is Zamoron. Okay. I pray the power of love is enough for your sake. You may proceed. Oh no! The corrupted Green Lanterns destroy the Star Sapphire power battery.
My ring, our power is gone.
It would seem not even love can save you now. Destroy every ring. And they start destroying the entire city and stuff. I said ring, not everything. Damn it, stupid. Anyway, it's time the Star Sapphires become nothing more than a faint memory across the universe. Vegas, baby, Vegas. Well, when you read the rest of the story, you'll understand what that's about. Oh, wait, this will kind of tell you. Hey, hon, I'm sorry.
Don't be. He'll be back. That's what he does.
Who will be back? Wait, what are you talking about? The contract. All the military contracts are gone after the drone fiasco. Ferris Harris.
Oh. Can we start over? With my tech, your connections, we can get married.
Oh? And that's where it leads. So they run off to Vegas to get a quickie marriage. It's pretty funny because you know how they have wedding chapels there? And there's like an Elvis impersonator who will marry you there. And the vows are changed, I believe, to like Elvis songs like Love Me Tender and stuff. Here, it's Superman. Not the real Superman, but, a guy dressed up as Superman will perform your ceremony and all that. And then she has flashbacks to Hal Jordan when they were kids. And so they've been an item since those days. And this poor bastard doesn't have a chance. And she's using him to try to get over Hal, which is unfair to the guy, obviously. But it's also a testament to the fact that Carol is destined for Hal Jordan. Yes. And then something else falls in her lap here in the story as it progresses. Meanwhile, Hal Jordan and the Lanterns try to restore justice. Well, you'll have to read it. It doesn't go well. Doesn't go well. But anyway, it's just for basic superhero stories and whatnot. Green Lantern is pretty good. Meanwhile, over at Marvel, their Ultimate line has caught interest, including myself. But ultimately, Ultimate X-Men, it's interesting. There's an intriguing narrative to it. But I'm losing interest as it goes. They're finally getting to the realization of mutants and this sort of thing. But I think even if it picks up this one, gives you a background story to the white-haired girl's backstory. I'm forgetting what her name's May, I believe. Who I guess is another version of Storm. I thought they had the actual Storm, well, the Ultimate Universe Storm already in Black Panther. So I don't know, but this girl does appear to have weather control powers, and she's got the lightning bolt earring and stuff. So I don't know, but anyway, it's interesting and whatnot. I don't think it's enough to sell this approach to X-Men overall. And that just remains the case and will always be the case, I think, for this iteration. Uh, the only question is how does it come together and fit in with the rest of the Ultimate Universe as presented by Spider-Man and Black Panther, because they're incredibly different from this. Finally, World's Finest, of course, continues on very strong with this Batmite and Mixes Pitalik team up. I am the Mite. Yeah, a little ode to the old show. Everything's going wrong. Superman and Batman have been trapped in the second dimension. Aren't they always? And so on and so forth. Still recommended, certainly because of Dan Moore's art. It's just absolutely excellent. And it's a funny romp and everything, but and it's good to see Wonder Woman back in a more traditional outfit. It's kind of cool, Anywho, all I can say is it's fun. This story with the imps and everything is not as great as previous ones, but again, pretty solid. It's on par with Green Lantern, just basic superhero stuff, if a bit silly with these guys in it, but that's the way it goes. Finally, Ghost Machine delivers the goods. Continuing on with their strange post-apocalyptic nuclear war world of Geiger, going forward here in a Wild West approach to it all, as you can clearly see. Wanted the glowing man, preferably dead. Reward. So there's all the hijinks that you would expect from a typical Old West scenario playing out within this sci-fi landscape, and an approach that's almost like superheroes, but in this odd situation that actually fits more than it would in a normal world setting. So anyway, he's hired to take care of somebody who's causing trouble for a town, and that's the westerns would do certain of that nature. The art, of course, is immaculate, and it's good. And there's this back and forth between him and his idiot companion for the levity, if you will, and so on and so forth. And of course, their threats are aplenty, and there's quite a few problems as they go forward, and leading into further stories in the future, which is what makes it all the more intriguing. So far so good with this one, and certainly recommend it. And it's easily understandable why this one was sort of the flagship, if you will, the first of the titles that is coming out from Jeff Johns' publishing imprint. Meanwhile, the other one I picked up recently, Redcoat 2. Geiger, I'm more inclined to like better. However, just like that one, the art is also immaculate. It's very good, and but it has the potential to grow on me, and it's kind of doing that with this a-hole character. It's an unlikely hero, and you can get a lot of mileage out of stuff like that. The whole story of he was a redcoat soldier. He's been granted immortality, albeit inadvertently, and we go forward through the centuries, and it does exist in the same world as Geiger. It's just the world of Geiger hasn't happened yet. So I imagine perhaps at some point there's the potential of crossover, and this guy could still be around. Simon Pure is his name. Could be around that time. So anyway, here he meets a young Albert Einstein. And there's plenty of historical characters do show up throughout the story. But the high selling point is, of course, again, the art. It's really good. And in this issue, the story is building. It's going forward more. There's still more backstory and stuff in him talking about what an a-hole he is and doesn't really care what anyone thinks and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, there's a heart of gold in there somewhere. And in this issue, he meets an arch nemesis who is also immortal. And so more of the groundwork and stage is set for wherever this is going to go. But there you have it. Not as impressed with it as I was with Geiger and that sort of thing, but still a very solid and strong book, and probably soon could grow into something quite special. So there you have it. That's what I've dealt with in reading comics. And more times than not, independent titles shine much more better than mainstream titles. And that's to be expected, I'm afraid. So there you have it. That's what I've read. What will I read for next week? I don't know yet, but it'll be something. And I'll share it with you on the next exciting episode of Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics.